Welcome to today's webinar, LibPress and Sitka and NNELS Oh My. Today we're going to look at how LibPress, Sitka's Evergreen, and NNELS can be used together. We're going to start with a brief overview of each service so that everyone joining us today or watching the recording later knows what all the three services are. We'll then walk through a scenario where a patron comes to the library to sign up for NNELS. As part of this, we'll demonstrate how you can use LibPress to promote NNELS to your patrons, use Sitka's Evergreen to authenticate print-disabled patrons with NNELS, and how your patron can sign up to access NNELS' collection and make requests for materials not currently in the collection. So we're going to start with LibPress. LibPress is websites for libraries. It's built using WordPress and hosted by the co-op. And the customized, accessible websites help libraries publish and update information both quickly and professionally. The structural navigation of each website is the same, but each library has their own logo and colors and content. LibPress is currently used by more than 70 libraries and library federations in BC and Manitoba. Lots of work has been done to make sure the LibPress sites are accessible. An accessibility module is available in the LibPress manual to help library staff make sure that the content you add to your website is also accessible. As well, we encourage libraries to use the Sally accessibility tool, which will show library staff accessibility issues when logged into your site. And you'll see that when we work through the demo at the end. To enable this tool, you simply email co-op support and request that it be turned on. Moving on to Sitka's Evergreen. Sitka is a consortium of over 100 libraries across 3 provinces using Evergreen as their shared integrated library system. The consortium is made up of public, post-secondary, government, special, and K-12 school libraries. The shared database allows for shared cataloging and reciprocal borrowing within Evergreen, including Interlibrary Connect and BC One Card. And Evergreen is the open source software used by the Sitka Consortium. Sitka's Evergreen is our customized version of the open source software. We're currently running Evergreen version 3.11.1, and we will be upgrading Evergreen this coming spring. Funding for recent accessibility improvements in Evergreen's public catalog were generously funded by the BC government and based on recommendation from NNELS testers and the Evergreen community's VPAT, Voluntary Product Accessibility Template, a report. And Sitka libraries will see these improvements this spring once our annual upgrade is complete. And now I'm going to hand things over to Megan to talk about NNELS.
Thanks, Jennifer. Next slide. Perfect. So let's start with a brief overview of NNELS. NNELS is the National Network for Equitable Library Service, is a service provided by the BC Libraries Cooperative, and we are a digital public repository of books in accessible formats for readers with print disabilities. NNELS supports libraries in providing accessible and alternate formats for patrons with print disabilities. Just to break that down, accessible formats are mainstream formats that are meant to be accessible, like MP3s and EPUBs that you can buy quite easily from from sellers, and alternate formats are specialized for persons with print disabilities. So like DAISY or BRF or Braille Ready files. And we'll talk more about the formats we provide in a few slides. Patrons with print disabilities can request books that are not yet available in accessible formats at NNELS. Our job is to find existing copies or produce them in-house for your patrons. We can provide this content and allow users with print disabilities to request titles under a copyright exemption provided by the Canadian Copyright Act in Section 32. The provincial governments of Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, the Northwest Territories, Nova Scotia, Nunavut, Saskatchewan, and Yukon fund and support NNELS. What that means is if you are in one of those provinces or territories, you have full access to NNELS services, and your patrons can request any book that they would like to read that they cannot find in your library in an accessible format. If you're not in a funding province, patrons with print disabilities can still access NNELS services. They just cannot request books. Next slide. So the big factor, what is a print disability? From the Copyright Act, print disability is defined as a disability that prevents or inhibits a person from reading a literary, musical, artistic, or dramatic work in its original format and includes disabilities resulting from severe or total impairment of sight or the inability to focus or move one's eyes, the inability to hold or manipulate a book, or an impairment relating to comprehension. That's from the Copyright Act. That's the definition we use, but it is also really important to consider that print disabilities can be permanent or temporary. For example, if someone breaks their arm and they cannot hold a book while they're healing, they have a temporary print disability. Print disabilities can also be visible or invisible. So someone with a learning disability has an invisible disability. And print disabilities are a growing group and can be developed by anyone at any time in their life through medical means, accident, aging, and more. So it's important to take that into consideration when talking to your patrons. A large portion of the Canadian population has a print disability. In the 2023 Statistics Canada survey, 5.2 million Canadians, or roughly 12.5% of the population, indicated that they had difficulty with print materials. So there are people in your communities that have print disabilities. We recommend talking with your patrons to determine if they self-identify as having a print disability, and then you or they can contact support at NNELS for more information if they need it. Next slide. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of what we offer. So the accessible and alternate formats we have at NNELS we provide a lot of different formats to meet the diverse reading needs of your patrons. This includes ebooks, audiobooks, and Braille, and I'll dive a little bit more into them next. But the books in the NNELS repository can contain metadata that makes them more accessible and easier to find for readers with print disabilities. This helps them filter the content that we have by the needs that they have. And I'll talk about that more next. Further on, yeah, ebooks. Okay. So we have a variety of ebook formats for patrons with print disabilities. We have EPUB, which is a mainstream ebook format and the most accessible format when appropriately made. For example, Braille displays can read EPUBs. It will transfer into Braille. There we have a demonstration coming up next on it, so I won't dive more into it now. Microsoft Word is a familiar format and is really popular because people can adjust the background colors. It is, they can change the font. They can magnify it up to 500% with reflow. This is our version of a large print format. We do not provide physical large print books, but Microsoft Word is a great alternate. Rich text format is familiar. It can be read with a lot of word processors. And then we have PDFs. Those are typically requested when a reader wants the digital copy to look exactly like the print book. And most of the PDF files in NNELS come directly from publishers. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is a demo of EPUBs in the NNELS repository by Patrick, one of the NNELS accessibility experts.
Hi, my name is Patrick. I'm an accessibility tester at NNELS, and I enjoy reading because books engage my imagination and I can take them anywhere I go. I enjoy reading books from the NNELS repository because they offer books in the EPUB format. What's EPUB? I'm glad you asked, or made the decision to watch this video, which amounts to the same thing. EPUB, or electronic publication, is the industry standard file format for publishing digital books. It's a format which makes use of many of the same technologies and standards as a web page. Because EPUB is the most popular ebook format, EPUB readers are available for a wide variety of devices. EPUB supports accessibility features such as image descriptions, chapter and heading navigation, defining a logical reading order, readable and clickable hyperlinks, and more. EPUBs in the NNELS repository list which accessibility features they include. This makes it easy to find books in EPUB format. I can perform a search of the website.
National Network for Equitable Library Service NNELS. Search the catalog edit. Lang enter. Search the catalog edit. NURDERS. Enter.
I submit that search.
Search results.
And once the results load, I can locate the filters section on the page.
Request a title. Search request filters.
And under filters, we can find filter by format.
Certified accessible. Filter by accessibility. Filter by format.
And so here there are options for the various formats. NNELS supports.
List of 15 items. MP3 2296 checkbox not checked. Daisy 202 audio 1877 checkbox not checked. FUB 21388 checkbox not checked. FUB 3527 checkbox not checked.
So there are checkboxes for EPUB 2 and EPUB 3. We're going to select EPUB 3, but you could also choose EPUB 2 or both of them.
Space list with 15 items. FUB 3520.
The results are going to load again.
Search results National Network for Equitable Library Service.
And once they do, we locate the results themselves.
National Network for Equitable Library Service. Search results.
And we can start browsing, knowing that every result is in EPUB 3 format.
Main murder link. The Michigan murders link. Murder on the docks link.
And I can select a title.
Enter main region list with 15 items. Murder on the docks National Network for Equitable Library Service NNELS.
And just like that, I've located a book in EPUB 3 format. And because EPUB and websites have similar accessibility standards, I know my screen reader will be compatible. And because EPUB is a popular format, I don't need a specialized device to enjoy this book. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
That was great. Thanks to Patrick. Next slide. Okay, let's talk a little bit about our audiobooks. We have human and AI narrated audiobooks in MP3 and Daisy audiobook formats. Daisy, also known as Digital Accessible Information System. Audiobooks are a specialized alternate format made specifically for people with print disabilities, and we'll have a demo of that next. MP3s are mainstream formats that can be made accessible. They can be played on almost any device or app that can play audio files. And our MP3 audiobooks at NNELS, when produced in-house, are generally smaller in size. They have human readable titles. They are never abridged, and they contain all the elements of the book. So, for example, the endnotes or image descriptions, things that might be left out in a commercial MP3. Next slide. So this is a demonstration of the Daisy books at NNELS by Letitia, an accessibility expert at NNELS.
Hi, my name is Letitia. I am an accessibility tester at NNELS. I love reading books from NNELS library because the library offers books in multiple formats. One format I often use is Daisy. Daisy simply means Digital Accessibility Information System. This format gives me the same flexibility that readers of regular print enjoy, including navigation by sentences, chapters, sections, and pages. The Daisy format also allows me to either listen to or skip footnotes, sidebars, etc. NNELS Daisy files can be played on any Daisy supported devices, such as Victor Readers players, mobile devices, and computers. To get a book onto a device, I simply download the file into the app or computer. Then I play it. Now, let's see how simple it can be to play a Daisy file. So here I have a book that I just downloaded from the library, and I'm going to play a random sample.
Enter. Type. Enter. Explorer pane. Unevict 9789. Enter. Underline 9780. Enter. Media player. Pause button.
Prologue. A new door. Midway through the 20th century, two unusual new molecules, organic compounds with a striking family resemblance exploded upon the West. In time, they would change the course of social, political, and cultural history, as well as the personal histories of the millions of people.
Alt F4.
As you can see, it took me only 2 clicks to play the book. Open the folder, highlight the chapter that I want to listen to, press enter. It's that simple. Reading books in my chosen format enhances my reading experience. Thank you for watching.
So, okay, next slide. So our last format we'll talk about today is Braille. We have both electronic and hard copy Braille. This is our only hard copy format that we have at NNELS. The electronic Braille, we have BRF, also known as Braille Ready files, and that is a standard format that renders contracted UEB, or Unified English Braille, code onto a Braille display. I will say EPUBs also can be read by Braille displays, so that's something to consider. For our physical formats, the hard copy Braille refers to novels or nonfiction that have been embossed or printed in Braille. And then print Braille refers to picture books that include the original printed text with the Braille interleaved throughout. I've seen this as like clear sheets that are between the pages, or like Braille is stuck on over top of the pictures in the picture book. Our physical Braille books can be accessed through interlibrary loan in your provinces and territories. Excuse me. And let's have a next slide. Sorry. We have a Braille demonstration of BRF by Melody, an accessibility expert at NNELS.
Hello, I'm an accessibility tester at NNELS. As a lifelong reader, I love finding books in the NNELS repository because the collection has a wide range of file formats available, including BRF. BRF Braille Ready formats render contracted UEB Braille code onto Braille display, Braille embossers, and transcribing softwares. The transcribed Braille in the BRF format provide better accuracy and consistency than computer-generated Braille. Just like any other formats, search in the repository, filter the results to books with BRF files available, click on the link to download, and extract the zip file. Load the files onto a Braille display and read with its built-in features, or open with the Braille transcribing softwares, connect your device to a Braille display, and enjoy your book.
Awesome. Okay, so those demonstrations that we watched today are available on the NNELS YouTube channel in the playlist Accessibility Glossary for the NNELS content and website. And more videos will be added soon if you want to check that out. Next slide. Okay, so the accessibility metadata of digital content and why this is so important. Titles and NNELS have accessibility metadata that inform readers of what accessibility elements the books has. This is really important because patrons can filter their search results by the accessibility metadata to find exactly what they need for their reading needs. And I think that's pretty important. The metadata we have includes described images, math equation, charts, maps, for example, if you're reading a fantasy book. This allows readers to access the whole meaning and context of books without being left out. Navigation methods, such as table of contents, print page numbers, and headings. It's important to indicate that these exist because this lets readers move through the book and return when where they've left off. So they're not cycling through audiobook, for example. They can get back to the chapter. And a customizable display, which allows readers to modify the book visually, the font size, the font type, contrast, and so they can turn the book into exactly what they need. Next slide. All right, so reading NNELS contents. Every person using NNELS has different reading needs and preferences. So unfortunately, there's no one device or reading system that works for everyone. Many devices, including Daisy readers, tablets, smartphones, desktop computers, and some MP3 players will support NNELS content. And also reading systems that allow you to add your own books will be able to ingest NNELS content. So Apple and Google Books, LibriVox, Thorium, Kobo, etc. will all read NNELS content. We encourage you to ask your patrons what devices and reading systems and accessible elements they prefer and proceed from there. We do have an upcoming series on demographics in the new year where we talk about different reading solutions for your library patrons, and those will be available to register in the coming weeks. Next slide. All right, we got to the demonstration portion. Now we'll demonstrate how you can use LibPress to promote NNELS, authenticate your patron through Sitka's Evergreen, and then assist your patron with signing into NNELS services. Jennifer?
All right, so we're going to come to our fictional library, Maple Public Library. The library staff at Maple want to promote NNELS to their patrons. Under Books and More, they've created a page for NNELS. And that has a bunch of different information on that. If we go into edit that page, we can see the text they've added. And I'll just highlight also at the bottom here under the shared text, there is a NNELS page here, which you can use, which has a little bit of information, and then you can augment that with more. As well, library staff at other libraries are welcome to copy and adapt the NNELS page that has been set up on Maple. You will notice that it has information both aimed at patrons and at library staff, because the Maple site is our LibPress training site aimed at library staff. So please copy and adapt this content as works for your library. So the Maple staff have this page, but they want something more prominent for the homepage. So they want something here that'll let people know about NNELS. So they decide what they want is they want a slide. So we're going to have a NNELS slide that comes through as part of the slideshow. And I'll go back to the back end of the site, and I'm going to go to Site Manager and Slideshow Manager. In the shared slide images, I have a NNELS slide available to me. So I'm going to take that and drag it into the empty slide slot that I have. I'm going to save the collection. And then I want to add a link to it as well. So I'm going to hit this edit button, which might be a little faint on your screens. And I'm going to put in the URL for the NNELS page on Maple. And then save that as well and click OK. When I go back to the front side of the website and just refresh that, if I scroll through the slideshow or let the slideshow move through itself, we're going to see that we now have that NNELS slide. And if we click on that slide, it takes us to that NNELS page. And if you're not a LibPress library, you still can, of course, take the information on the Maple site and set up information on your own library site. So Jane is an 85-year-old patron of the Maple Public Library. She's finding it harder to read the text in her books, and some of the hardcovers are too heavy for her to hold up with her arthritis. While checking the date for the library's upcoming book sale, that slide for NNELS scrolls past promoting accessible books. Curious, she clicks on the slide and comes here to the page of information about NNELS. Looking through this page, Jane feels like she qualifies based on the information about what is a print disability. So now that Jane knows about NNELS, she goes into the Maple Public Library and tells library staff that she has a print disability. So the library then has her complete a form for self-identification of a print disability.
And NNELS does have examples of a self-declaration form and a competent authority form on our website, and I can show you where those are later in the demonstration.
So with that form complete, the library staff member takes Jane's card and brings up Evergreen. So we're going to go to circulation and checkout. And I've just put in Jane's barcode. And we're going to go into edit and come down to the main profile permission group. And as this is a public library, she's currently in there as a PL adult. And we're just going to change her to a PL print disabled. If you're a post-secondary library, you'd be looking for post-sec print disabled. Special libraries would be looking for SL print disabled. So we've changed her permission group to print disabled. We're just going to click save. And now Jane's account will authenticate against NNELS and allow her to sign up for NNELS. NNELS does provide connectors to other ILSs, so if you don't use Sitka's Evergreen, there should be a similar process for you in your own ILS. And now I'm going to switch sharing over to Megan to take us over to NNELS.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay. So we're at the NNELS website. The first thing Jane needs to do is sign up and into NNELS to start exploring. So in the top right corner of the screen, there's a sign up button, and I will click on that. This takes you to a search for your local library page where you can enter the name of your library branch, your library system, or your city town. I'm going to use Seashelt for this because Maple, the testing Maple site does not, I should spell it right, apologies, doesn't exist in our program. So Seashelt, one listing comes up. Click here to log into your library card is what she will click on to log in. I just want to take a moment to note if you notice any incorrect information about your library in this search, please contact us at support@nels.ca and we can fix that for you. I'll click on here to log in with your library card. She then enters her Evergreen barcode and password. We're using a test account for this demonstration. This is the same as logging into the My account in the public catalog, but here you must use the barcode and not the username in this form. And she successfully logged in. Okay, so once logged in, she can explore the site. We have a lot of great resources available to support Jane in using NNELS. For example, tutorials on how to find, download, and open NNELS content with and without a screen reader. Information on the reading systems and what operating systems they work and if there's any accessibility issues or workarounds that are available for people with print disabilities. We also have the information that I covered today, including understanding formats and what we provide, as well as a list of the accessibility features or accessibility metadata that we have in most of our content that they can filter by. There are also some great resources for library staff to help you answer any Jane's questions that she might have. So under info for libraries, we have the staff homepage. This just covers an introductory. It also is where you can find under downloads and handouts, the self-declaration sample and competent authority sample forms that your library is free to use. We also have a training section where your library can sign up for training, and it covers exactly what we will talk about in those sessions. And finally, we have information on, apologies, more information about the connectors and how NNELS authenticates your users. So back to Jane. Jane's come to NNELS. She's looking for a specific book, but unfortunately, we don't have it in our collection. But because she's in one of our funding provinces, she can request it. So the make a request or request a title form is available on our homepage. Here, patrons can request a specific title in the format that they would prefer to read. We will then purchase an accessible copy of the book or produce an accessible version in-house. So Jane's information is already in the form because she's logged in. You have to be logged in order to fill out this form. So then she just needs to add the title, the author, her preferred formats, and if she needs written descriptions or image descriptions in the book. Once she is done, she can press enter and our request is sent to NNELS and we will begin the process of adding it to our collection. So all our patrons can get exactly what they want to read in the format that they would like to read. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. So thank you so much for attending this presentation. We are now going to stop the recording and we'll have some time for questions that you might have.